the most extreme prison on earth, nestled in the heart of El Salvador, a prison, unlike any other in the world, stands tall. CECOT. This high-security facility was built with a singular purpose: to house and contain the most dangerous criminals in the country. Primarily members of the notorious MS-13 and Barrio 18 gangs. Unlike conventional prisons, where rehabilitation remains a goal, inmates sent to CECOT face a grim reality. Once they enter, they will never leave. This is their final destination, a place designed to isolate and control individuals who have terrorized communities for decades. Mass incarceration, a ruthless government crackdown. Since March 2022, the Salvadoran government, under the leadership of President Nayib Bukele, has initiated one of the most aggressive anti-crime operations in modern history. More than 70,000 suspected gang members and criminals have been arrested, accounting for nearly 2% of the country's adult population. These mass arrests have filled prisons to the brink, leading to the construction of CECOT, a state-of-the-art facility meant to house thousands of gang-affiliated individuals. The transfer of prisoners to CECOT is a heavily coordinated operation. Under the cover of darkness, massive convoys transport inmates shackled and barefoot to their new home. The scene is chilling. Prisoners, stripped of individuality, are herded into the facility with military precision. They know they are being sent to a place from which no one has ever been released. Fortress of isolation. Unmatched security measures. CECOT is more than just a prison. It is a fortress designed to be impenetrable. The facility is surrounded by towering walls that rise 9 meters high, reinforced with electrified fencing. 19 watchtowers are strategically positioned around the compound, with over 600 heavily armed soldiers stationed to secure the perimeter at all times. Beyond its physical barriers, CECOT employs cutting-edge technology to prevent any form of communication with the outside world. A powerful signal-blocking system ensures that no messages can be transmitted in or out. Inside the walls, every inmate is subjected to advanced biometric scans and multiple layers of identification, ensuring that no one can escape or hide their identity. The level of surveillance is absolute. Cameras monitor every movement 24/7, leaving prisoners with no privacy and no opportunity to conspire. Inside the walls, a harsh reality. Life inside CECOT is brutal. The prison was designed to strip inmates of any sense of control or comfort. Cells are overcrowded, with each holding up to 150 men. Personal space is a luxury. Each inmate is allotted a mere 0.5 square meters, forcing them to remain in close quarters at all times. There are only 2 toilets available per 80 prisoners, creating unsanitary and humiliating living conditions. Unlike other high-security prisons that provide inmates with outdoor courtyards or work programs, CECOT offers no such privileges. There is no natural light, no ventilation, and no access to fresh air. The prisoners exist in a state of perpetual confinement, with no opportunity to step outside and no concept of time. Upon arrival, each inmate is stripped of their identity. They are given a standard uniform, a single towel, a pair of socks, slippers, and a thin white sheet. Personal belongings are strictly forbidden. The prison's philosophy is clear. These individuals are no longer members of society. They are here to be erased from it. The mark of a gang member. Tattoos and brotherhood. A defining characteristic of CECOT's prisoners is their tattoos. These intricate markings tell the story of their criminal past, displaying affiliations, ranks, and personal histories within their respective gangs. Symbols such as Ms13, the number 666, or teardrop tattoos, each indicating the number of people they have killed, cover their bodies. Interestingly, the same gang rivalries that fuel bloodshed on the streets are now irrelevant inside CECOT. Former enemies are forced to coexist in the same cells. In this environment, survival is not dictated by gang allegiance, but by submission to the prison's rigid rules and absolute authority. Unrelenting control, surveillance, and punishment. CECOT operates under totalitarian control. The prison is never dark. Fluorescent lights remain on 24/7, ensuring that inmates never experience true rest. Every cell is monitored constantly, leaving no space for secret interactions or conspiracies. Schedules are strictly enforced. Prisoners are only allowed outside of their cells once a week for 1 hour, during which they are closely supervised. Any form of disobedience is met with swift and severe punishment. The most feared consequence is being placed in an isolation cell, a small, pitch-black chamber where inmates are left alone for days or even weeks with no human contact. Psychological torment is a key element of CECOT's method of control, surviving on the bare minimum: food and discipline. Meals at CECOT are deliberately monotonous and barely sufficient to sustain the prisoners. Every day they receive the same ration: rice, beans, tortillas, and a sugary drink. There is no variation, no special treatment, and no chance for extra portions. Those who refuse to follow orders or show resistance are subjected to even harsher conditions. Guards enforce discipline through physical restraint and psychological pressure, ensuring that inmates never feel a sense of power or rebellion. A conversation with Psycho, the mind of a gang leader. One of the most infamous prisoners at CECOT is Marvin Ernesto Matano, also known as Psycho. A high-ranking MS-13 leader, he openly admits to committing over 50 murders throughout his criminal career. In a rare interview, he reflects on his life, explaining that he was drawn into the gang world at a young age due to poverty, lack of education, and an absence of family support. Despite his past, Psycho expresses remorse. He warns young people against following his path, acknowledging that his choices led him to a fate worse than death, spending the rest of his life in CECOT, forgotten by the outside world. The impact of CECOT: justice, or a human rights crisis. Since the establishment of CECOT and the mass imprisonment of gang members, El Salvador has witnessed an unprecedented drop in crime. The homicide rate has plummeted from 104 per 100,000 people, one of the highest in the world, to just 2.4 per 100,000 in 2023. The streets, once dominated by fear, are now considered among the safest in Latin America. However, the extreme nature of these measures has raised significant concerns. Human rights organizations argue that thousands of innocent people have been swept up in the mass arrests, with little due process or legal protection. The question remains: does the security and stability gained outweigh the moral cost of such an unforgiving system? Conclusion: a new era or a temporary fix? El Salvador has taken an unprecedented approach to eradicating gang violence, and the world is watching closely. CECOT stands as a symbol of absolute state control, where criminals are stripped of their past lives and forced into a life of isolation. Whether this method is a true path to justice or merely a temporary solution remains to be seen. For now, CECOT serves as a stark reminder of the price some nations are willing to pay to reclaim peace.